Good morning, students. Today I, Padmaja Behera, has come with the second chapter from the book Flamingo, and the name of the chapter is Lost Spring: Stories of Stolen Childhood. This chapter has been written by Anis Jung, who began her career as a writer in India. And the following chapter is an excerpt from her book titled Lost Spring: Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here, in this particular story, she analyzes the grinding poverty and traditions which condemn the children to a life of exploitation. Just compare, children, their life and to yours. Consider yourself lucky that you enjoy the basic rights, that is, right to education, right to freedom, and right to expression. This chapter has been divided into two parts. The first part is based in Simapuri, which is a part of Delhi, and the second part is based in Firozabad, the center of the bangle making industry. Just because it has two parts, I will try to complete in two videos so that you have a clear idea of the particular chapter. But of course, you must go through the chapter thoroughly. Right, children? Now, let's proceed to the theme of this particular chapter. The theme, the underlying theme on which this chapter is based, just understand the two words lost spring. Lost means you have lost something, and spring is the season of life, freshness, and bloom. Spring, the word is used as a metaphor of childhood, as childhood is associated with innocence, physical stamina, and it is also a stage of gaining knowledge, learning, and of course, going to school. Unless you go to school, you cannot be educated, you cannot gain knowledge. Lost Spring by Anis Jung is a description of those poor children who are condemned to poverty and a life of exploitation. The two protagonists in this particular story are Sahib, who belongs to Simapuri, and Mukesh, who belongs to Firozabad, who have lost their childhood while carrying the burden of poverty and illiteracy. Their stories describe the way they are exploited, but the author finds some glimpses of hope too. As we proceed in this particular chapter while reading the first part of Sahib and the second part of Mukesh, Mukesh dares to dream. Mukesh wants to think differently. That is why the writer feels a sense of hope on coming to know the story of Mukesh. Lost Spring describes two stories of stolen childhood. Millions of children in India, instead of spending their days in schools and playgrounds, waste their childhood in picking rags and working in hazardous factories. Of course, you must have written articles on child labor, so you must be knowing something about child labor. And what is child labor? There are many people who do not know what is child labor and should the children be engaged in work or not. Childhood is the spring of life, but millions of children we see in Delhi who are scrounging in the garbage dumps of Simapuri or welding glass bangles in the furnaces of Firozabad. Their childhood is lost to the demands of survival. So I feel, and when after reading this particular chapter, you will also feel the same, that the title is justified. Now, let's proceed to the first part. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage is about Sahib. Sahib-e-Alam. He does not know the meaning of his name. The meaning of his name is Lord of the Universe. Like children, in my classes, I always ask you the meaning of your name, because your meaning also has a deep impact on your personality. And look at this name of Sahib. Isn't it ironical? His name means Lord of the Universe. And look at him, he's picking rags for a living. This is about the rag pickers of Simapuri, which is in the periphery of Delhi, but miles away metaphorically. It is in Delhi, but it lacks the luxury and glamour associated with the capital city. They are squatters from Bangladesh, and they came in 1971, and now there are near about 10,000 rag pickers in Simapuri. They prefer living in Simapuri rather than Bangladesh or Dhaka, as they have ration cards which can help them to feed their families. And in Simapuri, we can very well see how the children are partners in survival of the parents. These children also want to go to school. They also want to wear chappals, but they are far away from it. They also want to play tennis, like Sahib wants to, but he is unable to, because they are so poverty stricken that they have to be partners in survival along with their parents. They have to earn their living. Now, that they have picked rags for so many years, so it has become a fine art, and it is compared to gold as it gets them a roof overhead. Garbage is a means of survival for the parents, and for children it is full of wonder. The children are the main protagonist in this particular story, that is, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. And do you know the name of the protagonist? It is Sahib-e-Alam, who wants to go to school, but there is none in his neighborhood, so he picks up garbage for a living. They live in terrible conditions without sewage, drainage, and running water. Sahib is unhappy too, working in a tea stall, as he has lost his freedom. He gets rupees 800, but is not happy. Even though he gets food also, but still he is not happy. He was happy with the big garbage bag that he used to hold. But here he is holding a steel canister to get milk for his owner. Now understand, children, every child in this world wants freedom, wants education, wants to enjoy all the basic rights. They also want to go to school, they also want all the luxuries of life like a city bred child. But they're unable to. After you go through this particular chapter, you can know how for these slum children, food is more important for survival than an identity. They live in transit homes and they survive only on rag picking. Sometimes, I have seen also in Delhi, people live actually on garbage because they find sometimes a rupee, sometimes a 10 rupee note, sometimes some silver coins also. So, for the children, The garbage is wrapped with wonder, and for elders, it is a means of survival. Sahib, seeing the city bred children, also wants to play tennis. Tennis, children, is a very costly sport. Only the people who can afford, they can only play. The rich people. But Sahib has also a desire to play, but he can't. So he wears the whatever his mother gets for him, the clothes, the shoes of some rich boy, and he wears them, imagining that he also wants to play. So, children, consider yourself lucky that you are getting everything that you want. There are many children out there who are unable to afford even a full square meal. So they have to work in hazardous industries or do rag picking like Sahib. Students, this is for today's lecture. In my next lecture, I will start with the second part, that is, I want to drive a car. Please go through the chapter thoroughly, children, because in the board also you will get some RTC from the chapters, unlike the poem. Thank you, children.